On the evening of the 15th of July 2016, a faction calling itself the Peace at Home Council, comprised of military officers allegedly linked to the FETO, the Gulenist network, attempted to overthrow the democratically elected government led by President Erdogan. They seized major infrastructure, including bridges in Istanbul, Ankara's parliament, media outlets, and numerous public spaces. Earlier today, the Turkish community in Cape Town, including consular staff, diaspora members, and local dignitaries, gathered at the Turkish consulate to mark the 9th anniversary of the failed coup. The program featured a moment of silence, singing of the national anthem, speeches, and a dua at the Tanabaru Cemetery in the Boakap Quarter in Cape Town, honoring those who lost their lives resisting the coup. The Consul General emphasized solidarity, democracy, and civil courage displayed by citizens on that fateful night.
With the leadership of our President Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
A senior leader from the Muslim community, Sheikh Riyad Fattar, the president of the Muslim Judicial Council of South Africa, addressed the gathering and spoke about the Islamic importance of the actions of the citizens of Turkey.
We extend to you our warmest congratulations and blessings on the annual anniversary of the failure of the coup attempt on the night of July 15, 2016. That glorious night in which the Turkish people, their government, and their leadership stood united as one nation in the face of tyranny and falsehood. It is a defining day in the history of Turkey, the day when the people said no to oppression, no to treason, yes to freedom, and yes to legitimacy, and yes to the will of the people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly states in the Holy Quran, إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم. If you support Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah will support you. And Allah will make your feet firm. And that you've seen with your own eyes now. On how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had granted thibat to the people of Turkey. They stood firm for justice, for the right thing. And just so they stand as a lesson to you and me going forward. So the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam says, whoever of you see anything that is evil, then change it with your hand. And if you cannot change it with your hand, use your tongue, say something. And if you cannot say something, then make dua in your heart, for that is the weakest form of Iman. So the people of Turkey, I want to say this. You have changed the evil and stood for the truth with your hands, with your tongues, as well as with your hearts and the du'as that you have been making, thus becoming the best of this ummah. We congratulate you, the people of Turkey.
The event was also addressed by the CEO of OCAF South Africa, Mikhail Collier.
Turkey is close to our hearts, not just historically, but spiritually and politically. Many of our Turkish brothers and sisters had lived amongst us during the years when Turkey was under military occupation and oppression. And now, as they fought to preserve their democracy, we felt their pain and their resolve. That fateful night, the world witnessed one of the most extraordinary moments of modern-day resistance. Turkish citizens, men, women, the elderly, even youth, flooded the streets to defend their democracy. They stood unarmed against tanks and traitors, and they prevailed. Today in 2025, we don't only remember that night, we honor the journey and the resilience Turkey has walked since then. Under the bold leadership of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey has emerged stronger than ever. The country has made tremendous progress in infrastructure, education, healthcare, energy, and defense, rising as a global leader in both military, self-reliance, and humanitarian diplomacy. And historically, this past week, it has closed the chapter on over 40 years of PKK terrorism, ensuring peace and stability for millions. Turkey has also played a critical role in the liberation of parts of Syria, providing refuge for millions of displaced Syrian refugees and ensuring stability in areas once gripped by terror. And today, while many leaders remain silent in the face of genocide, Turkey stands firmly with the people of Palestine and Gaza.
The newly appointed Consul General to Cape Town gave some background on the establishment of the FETO organization and their actions which led to the failed coup.
9 years ago, on July 15, the Republic of Turkey and its people faced a coup attempt. In fact, the most violent act of terror in the nation's history. Planned by the FETO terrorist organization and executed by its infiltrated within the security forces, the attempted coup led to the loss of 251 lives and left around 2,500 citizens wounded. The greatest praise for overcoming this dark night belongs to the Turkish people, who, with unwavering determination and a deep sense of national unity, stood up for their democratic rights. Today, we underline our dedication to democracy and to our national unity. Beginning in the early 1990s, FETO deliberately focused on placing royal individuals into state institutions, mainly by leaking government exam questions and manipulating interviews. Over the time, this network gained some control over parts of the judiciary, police, military, and bureaucracy, all operating covertly to serve the interests of the terrorist organization rather than the state and the nation. At the same time, the terrorist organization established a global presence by setting up schools, cultural centers, and NGOs in many countries, including South Africa. These institutions, operating under the guise of education, dialogue, and harmony, served as key instruments for expanding the network's influence and recruitment efforts. In the 3 years leading up to 2016, the Turkish government intensified its efforts to dismantle this parallel structure. Many of its operatives were removed from their positions, and its influence within the key institutions was largely eliminated. The terrorist attack of July the 15th, 2016 was FETÖ's final and most violent attempt to reclaim power and preserve its existence in Turkey. From the very beginning, the legitimate command chain and the vast majority of the Turkish armed forces and the police stood firmly against this heinous coup attempt. Most importantly, the Turkish nation, under the leadership of President Erdogan, rose up as one and resisted the plotters with extraordinary courage. Ordinary students took to the streets, stood in front of tanks, and risked their lives to protect their democratic rights. I would like to reiterate that FETÖ is not a religion-motivated charity structure based on moral or Islamic values. It is a terrorist organization aiming to guide, direct, and transform in line with its ambitions and interests. Both the leadership and the social texture of the Republic of Turkey and the orders of the societies abroad where it is active. Our determination and efforts to dismantle the organization remain unwavering. The fight against FETÖ is one of the cornerstones of our national security. We commemorate once again with gratitude our martyrs who sacrificed their lives to protect democracy, sovereignty, and independence of the Turkish nation.